Hey everyone, so BIGBIG WON sent out this transparent RGB wired controller for my review. So this is a wired controller that works with Windows 10 and 11 as well as your Nintendo Switch you see right here. But it doesn't stop there. You can also use this wired controller with pretty much any console using BIGBIG WON's R90 wired adapter. The R90 adapter makes it really simple to use this controller with pretty much any console. All you do is plug in this wired controller to the R90 and then the R90 to your favorite console. And I will leave affiliate links down in the description below for everything I talk about in this video in case you want to pick up this controller or the R90 adapter. All right, so before I tell you more about this controller, I'm gonna go ahead and unbox it for you guys. And here is the controller. So the controller does come with a 3-meter wire that's USB-A on one side and the other side is micro USB. It also comes with a nice Velcro tie in case you need to put it away safely and doesn't get tangled up with other stuff. All right, let's take a look at the controller itself. The buttons do come wrapped. And the other thing you get is a nice user manual because this controller does have a lot of features, so this is going to come in handy. And this is great. You get 12 months of warranty, which is a lot more than what Scuf gives you. Scuf only gives you 6 months, so the fact that BIGBIG WON gives you 12 months, that means they have confidence in their controller that it's going to last a long time. All right, so here is the BIGBIG WON Rainbow controller. So the Rainbow is a transparent controller, so you can see all of the insides. You see the rumbles right here in the bottom. And you can see the RGB strip later on. It's gonna light up around the edges here. And one thing I noticed right away is where you plug in the cable, it's recessed. So that's gonna help out with the cable not kind of snapping out of the way. So as you see, I plugged in the cable, it's nice and snug. It's not gonna pull out and maybe bend your cable. It securely fits in there. So that's a big plus. Thank you, BIGBIG WON, for thinking about that. So you do have your standard bumpers here and your triggers. The triggers feel really nice and reactive. They push back right away as you press down on them. Feels nice. And the design of this controller is asymmetrical. That means the analog sticks are not together here. The left analog stick is higher up on the left side and the right analog stick is lower on the right, which is kind of my favorite configuration. So one cool thing that I'm looking forward to is what a lot of people have told me they want. They want an asymmetrical controller that they can use with their PS4 and PS5. So again, with the R90 wired adapter, you're gonna be able to use this controller with the PS4 and PS5. So if you're interested in using asymmetrical controllers such as this, go ahead and pick up this controller along with the R90 and you're good to go. So let's start off with the front. You have the nice analog sticks. They feel really good. You have the D-pad here and you have these two buttons in the center here as well as the main button with the BIGBIG WON logo. So the D-pad and the buttons are glossy. You can see the buttons right here. These do feel good. They're a little bit clicky. You can hear them as I press them. So that could be a good thing or bad thing. As you're playing, it might be annoying, but they do feel very good. All right, in the bottom here, we do have the 3.5mm audio jack connection to connect your headset. Let's take a look over at the back. And one cool thing about this controller is that it has 4 buttons in the back. So it has M1, M2, M3, and M4. So it's like a little wheel that you can press up and down. You also have this function button, which is very important. It's going to be able to control several features of your controller, such as turning on turbo mode, as well as setting up macros for these M1, M2, M3, and M4 buttons. So when you press M1, for example, you can have it do ABBA as a macro. That's really cool. So it's really gonna help you out with some games. Okay, now that I covered the basics, let me talk about some of the cool features of the BIGBIG WON Rainbow. All right, so let's plug in the controller to the laptop and see what we got here. All right, here we go. I got a nice vibration here and you see the RGB. So that's one main feature of the Rainbow is you have the nice RGB as you're playing, you look down and it's actually pretty bright, you guys. This is gonna definitely look good if you're a gamer and you stream, for example. People are gonna look at that and be like, whoa, what's that? So you can see the RGB strip does go pretty much all the way around the controller. And since the controller is transparent, you can see it easily even from the back here. So you can see it's turning different colors, blue, yellow, and so on, and cycling through the different colors. And one cool feature of this controller is that you can download an app for your phone and totally customize the color scheme of your controller as well as other features. So that's using the BIGBIG WON app on iPhone and Android. So the other feature that the Rainbow has is it's got a 6-axis gyro that works for all platforms. That means that you can pretty much move your character just by manipulating the controller. So for example, you want to move forward, maybe you do this, back, and then right and left. Maybe you're playing a racing car game and you want to turn right and left. You can do that with this controller. It's got that built-in 6-axis gyro. The other cool thing that it has is asymmetrical vibrating motors that provide a more immersive game experience. So you can actually control the intensity of the vibration. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do that now. So what you're gonna do is hold down this function button, long press it, and as you're long pressing it, you go ahead and press the right on the D-pad. And you can see here, that's set to, I believe, medium, low, off, and high. So the high is pretty intense, you guys. And then you can go ahead and release, and there you go. You just set your vibration to whatever setting you want. So that's really cool. And you can do it all from your controller. You don't even need the app for that. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is go to the Gamepad Tester website so you can see me pressing the different buttons on this controller and see how they register, as well as these macro buttons on the back here. All right, so here you see the analog stick works really well, as well as the right one. You got A, B, X, and Y. See here, you got this button here, you got that one. Then you have your right and left bumper, as well as the triggers. Triggers feel very nice, and as you can see, they register very well. You got your D-pad, up, down, left, right, and so on. Now let's turn it over to the back, and we see the macro buttons right here, but they don't do anything right now because we have to program it. And what you're gonna do to program the macros here is hold down the function button and then select the macro button you wanna do. So let's say M1. So go ahead and press the function button and then the M1, and we'll do ABBA. And now when we press M1, and now we see that when you press M1, it does ABBA. So really great, the macros work great. So just keep in mind that the wheel itself is not button. You have to actually go up and down. So for example, if I'm holding like this and I go ahead and press up on this wheel, you're gonna see that it's gonna register there. And the other cool thing is you see these lights kind of light up as you're pressing the triggers. So this little light is really cool. As you're firing on your enemy, you see that instant feedback that you are indeed firing. So whenever you press the triggers, those will light up. However, it doesn't light up for the other ones. However, if you do use a macro, it does light up for that. And you see there that it actually uses these two other LEDs that are in the middle there. So really cool there as far as features go. All right, now I'm gonna show you how easy it is to download the app for the BIGBIG WON Rainbow. And you're gonna go ahead and search on your Apple Store or your Play Store on Android and search for BIGBIG WON, and you're gonna go ahead and just download the app. And once it's downloaded, go ahead and launch it by hitting open. Okay, so the BIGBIG WON app is gonna ask to use Bluetooth. Go ahead and click OK. And then what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and say connect so it can connect. And once you hit connect, it will find your Rainbow controller as long as it's powered on. Click OK. And now we're gonna go ahead and select create config. So you can either select from presetting or custom, and they have the different lighting effects. So they can do orange, red, golden age, aqua green. So let's take a look at some of these. Aqua green, that's a cool, nice color. You could do hot pink if you wanted to, rose violet, golden age. So cool different ones that you can choose from. So if you set the RGB setting using the app, you can also switch between the different RGB modes by double clicking the FN button really quick. So let's go ahead and do that. So right there, it's off. And this is kind of a cool green blue. And again, it's a golden one. And it's like a blue pink one. So there you go. You can pretty much do a lot of the functions on the controller itself. So you don't absolutely need the app, but it's cool to have the app just because you get to see all the features. So going back to the app, you can also customize a bunch of features. You can set the left trigger and right trigger setting. And if you hit that arrow again, you will see different settings such as stick settings. You could set the default dead zone and so on, as well as sensitivity curves. I'm not gonna mess with these. I'll probably leave that for the full review. If you wanna know more about customizing these settings, look for my full review once it's out. So here we have different settings So we also have the settings for the gyro that you can go ahead and control. And that's pretty much it. Once you configure these, you can hit apply, or if you want to just reset everything back to defaults, hit reset. And that's pretty much all there is to the app. And it's really cool that it just connects by itself using Bluetooth. All right, so if I could describe the BIGBIG WON Rainbow controller with one word, it is fun. Lots of fun to play it. You see the RGB and the rumbles make it a lot of fun. Definitely feel like you're immersed in the game. All right, so here are my final thoughts on my first impressions of the BIGBIG WON Rainbow controller. Definitely lots of fun. The RGB looks amazing on this, and as you see here, when I pull the triggers, you can see the lights light up here. Very cool effects. It has lots of customization for the RGB as well as the macros in the back. And if you're already used to the Microsoft Xbox One controller, then you'll definitely get used to this. It's pretty much the same. And it's cool that you can use this both on Windows and with your Nintendo Switch. And with the R90 adapter, you can go ahead and use this controller on your other consoles such as the PS4, PS5. So as fun as this controller was for me, it did have some drawbacks in that since it is transparent here, there is kind of no grip. So for me, this is a problem, and it may be for some of you as well that kind of have sweaty hands. My hands are sweating right now, but they do sometimes, especially when I'm playing intense like FPS games and so on like that. There is no grip here as well as the back. So one recommendation I have for BIGBIG WON is to go ahead and add some texture to the back here, and preferably also to the front right here. You can still make it transparent, just have a little bit of texture so you can grip on to the controller so it's not slippery once your hands get a little bit moist. Definitely, if they can do it to the back, that's a plus. I don't think you're gonna be looking at the back that often, so adding some texture here is easily doable. For the front, I can see how maybe it might affect the aesthetic, but yeah, if they can somehow manage it, I would prefer that. But definitely, if you had some in the back, it'd be great. The controls themselves are great, and again, just lots of fun playing games and just looking down at this controller with the beautiful RGB. Definitely cool. So on my Nintendo Switch, this controller worked flawlessly. I did experience some problems on my Windows laptop when using this controller. Sometimes the games wouldn't recognize it, such as Fortnite. Sometimes when I was playing Rocket League, the controller would just kind of disconnect by itself, and I'll have to kind of like reconnect it to get it working again. Not sure if this is specific to me, but if you guys had that problem, go ahead and comment down below. I might reach out to BIGBIG WON and see why I was experiencing those problems, but when it is working, it works great. The lighting's amazing. Look at that, even the back. So yeah, definitely worth the money, I think, with the RGB and the different functions. One thing that I would suggest to BIGBIG WON is I'm not really a fan of these buttons. It's like a wheel and can't press them down to register a button. You pretty much have to move it up or down. So it's kind of diagonal too. So you can imagine your fingers, you're either gonna use your index or middle, and you have to go like this or like that. And then when I'm playing games, I don't wanna like think about having to do that. I just wanna press a button or a paddle. So I pretty much would prefer to have, even if it was just 2 buttons in the back, just making plain buttons. You can add the macro feature, that's great, but I just want to be able to press the buttons in the back here. They're actually in a pretty good position here. So I wouldn't mind having just 2 buttons where I can just press it, and it can register one of these buttons here, such as slide or jump for FPS games, because I don't see myself using these macro buttons on FPS games or Call of Duty, Battle Royale games like that. But for other games, single player and more like laid back games, definitely the macro buttons might really help you out. I didn't get to use the turbo feature, but one thing I noticed is that the turbo feature is not enabled for the triggers, but it is for the bumper buttons. Maybe that's to prevent people from doing something like with rapid fire, but you can also switch the layout to use your bumpers as rapid fire, so that's kind of a workaround there. I might go ahead and do that during the full review of this. But yeah, it's pretty much my first impressions of the BIGBIG WON Rainbow. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys want to see a full review of this controller. Until next time, see you in the next video.